Yeah, Thrilling Discovery is the name of the card. This is me testing on my own audio so I can comment. Hold on.
I was so nervous about getting like fourth indications. I was like, oh god, please. I have a family. Don't murder me live on camera.
I've got my microphone settings set up, Andrew, so that I can actually help co-commentate with you. Hold on.
In there somewhere. It is.
So I just realized that the audio settings were messed up, Andrew, and none of your audio is coming through. I am so sorry about that. They've heard nothing so far. And it looks like I need to adjust one more setting. This one. Yeah, go ahead. Go now. Nope, I'm bad at stuff. Still. What?
Last time you had a pretty good turn.
One more. Try one more time. See if that.
3 cards in hand.
No. Oh God. All right. Well.
Yes, there's a creeping chill. And so he gets another stink we didn't. So now we're going to the. Looks like another creeping chill was flipped. So this is going to put Connor to 6. Or to dealing 6, go to 3. Then this is another 5. Do we hit a conflagrate? If we hit conflagrate, the game's pretty much over. I didn't see another conflagrate. Put Connor to 3. That means this Narcomoeba is effectively going to put him to 2, which means that Connor's dead on the crackback to Narcomoeba, which is a pretty good spot for Dredge to be. I'm assuming he's out at this point of any sort of, creeping chills. So at this point, Scotty's probably just looking for a conflagrate.
Hey, Andrew, can you hear
If
me?
I saw it correctly in hand, yes, I can hear you, Danny.
All right, perfect. Yeah, your audio coming through now, and so is mine. So perfect.
Cool. So if I saw Connor's hand correctly, I do believe I saw Teferi the Time Raveler. Not really good in the Dredge matchup. That's another reason why I think Dredge is actually pretty good right now. A lot of the main board hate cards that you think would be good
I don't have
are actually pretty bad in the face of the Dredge deck, because the Dredge deck is so linear and so focused. I do see a Fury in his hand, and I'm assuming he's just going to slam that down and just get rid of the Narcomoebas. That'd be a pretty solid play overall.
There are a total of 5 rhinos in play. 3 that can attack and 2 that cannot.
Yep. And as far as attackers are concerned, Connor has no good attacks. He will not be attacking. And if he does, he could possibly just be dead on the crackback. But what do I know?
I mean, yeah, we do the math. That is a
Prized Amalgam, pretty good card. Pretty good card. Don't know if anybody knows that at home. There also is in the yard at least 1 copy of Bloodghast, which will be hasty. And Connor's life total is actually incorrect. It should be at 2.
Yep, you're correct.
Very relevant because Bloodghast be able to kill.
I just realized that the video is like mirrored. Let me go ahead and fix that for you. Nope, that's not what I want to do.
Video's fine, man. It's good. I can tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
And for those watching at home, those are not counters on the rhinos. It's symbolizing 2 rhinos. I don't believe we have extra rhino tokens in our token box. We are working on getting a lot of the streaming stuff still, so please bear with us. We're dredging 4 here. Oh, there's a creeping chill. Game's over. Okay, so wow, that's pretty good. This guy was able to do that by fighting all 4 creeping chills. I was sure he found some earlier in the game, but yeah, it turns out you just don't have to do anything to your opponent. You just put 4 creeping chills. Pretty good. Pretty good. I've lost quite a few games of Magic to that. And Scotty, for everyone who's thinking that Dredge is a pretty, a deck that quote unquote plays itself, I hate that term because really Dredge is actually a pretty difficult deck to pilot. Not really difficult so much in game 1 because your deck really is so linear and so focused. You should be able to achieve your goal very quickly in killing your opponent. However, in the sideboard games, you are going to be coming across a lot of hate. And this kind of hate is like, you can find some rest in pieces, that kind of thing. Right now, like I said many times in the stream, I think that Dredge is actually a pretty good spot because you don't have a lot of those cards being played. And Dredge can very easily play through a Tormod's Crypt.
Sorry for all the
Danny, now you have to reverse the.
Yep, I gotta reverse the names, but otherwise now it should be correct in terms of who is as in the video actually being properly non-mirrored.
Very good. But yeah, like I was saying, I think Dredge is actually, so it is in a really good spot. Similar to how Affinity is or was, Hardened Scales are in a similar spot where if there's very little interaction with artifacts, you can really just steamroll your opponent very quickly. and they need to have a proper amount of hate. And if there is no hate, the decks kind of just get to steamroll the competition very quickly. And that's one thing that's great about modern. It's very just the eternal formats in general is there are these decks that if you do not have the proper hate in your sideboard, or if the room in general doesn't have the proper hate in the sideboard, you will get you get a lot of easy wins. Similar to something like well, I guess Dredge and Legacy does the same thing. Doomsday, again, if there's not enough hate for Doomsday and Legacy, Doomsday is going to steamroll it. Doomsday is going to do what it does. Same thing with combo decks in Modern. And Dredge is a combo deck. It is an A plus B deck. A, Dredger, B, discard draw effect. If it doesn't have those in the opening turns, it's not doing anything. So. Okay. Looks like Scotty is mulliganing, and I believe Connor is taking mulligan as well. One thing that's worthy of mention, in the modern format, Dredge is one of the decks that mulligans more efficiently than any other deck. The only deck that I can think that mulligans more efficiently than Dredge is Tron. Tron just needs to find, 2 Tron pieces plus tutor, or you can just, naturally keep 3 Tron pieces, and then Noah Heisinga slams a card in the Great Creator on you with an Ensnaring Bridge with no cards in hand.
Yeah, look,
That's never happened to me before, but
yeah,
I can only imagine it'd be pretty good.
I've watched Noah Heisinga mold a 3 on Tron and win. Still,
Yeah,
it is remarkable how
it's not nearly as impressive as a very strong affinity player mulling to 4 and winning, but it's pretty impressive
I wonder who
to
you're talking
watch.
About there.
Pretty impressive to watch a really efficient affinity player just get dumpstered by a KGC on turn 3 with no cards in hand.
Yep.
So if Scotty is able to find an A plus B hand, Dredge plus draw, he'll very easily be able to go over the top on Connor. Connor, again, because his deck is continuously 2 for 1ing itself in order to actually get to its end game. So if you're able to if Scotty's just able to play his deck, gonna kind of just make Connor's deck look a little embarrassing, quite frankly.
Yeah, Dredge is just one of those decks that it's acting on an axis that honestly a lot of other people's decks just aren't ready to function on. It just comes at the format sideways.
It's just like me playing Affinity. I'm always coming at people sideways. Just turn them sideways.
Absolutely. That's the thing, is that Dredge as a deck is already turned sideways before the game even starts.
Scotty's going to 5. And again, Scotty's a very proficient Dredge player. He's going to take those mulligans. He's going to mulligan very low. He's looking for the A plus B hand. Really, I bet you if I was a bet man, and I am not because I like my money too much. He is probably going to be looking for a hand that's one Dredge effect, a significant one, a Stinkweed Imp, and 2 draw effects in case the first draw effect is counted. That is probably the 7 that Scotty's looking for. I don't think sideboard's really relevant.
As long as if you're able to just get any card that discarding is part of the cost, then you're able to get a Dredger in the graveyard, and even if you are, something happens, you at least are able to start the process.
Looks like Scotty. I'm not sure if he's at 4 or he's at 3.
This is a mold of 4.
Solid. It's not nearly as good as seeing a Dredge player mold to 3 against Spirits and just winning.
Yeah. Rude.
It's pretty disgusting. Not that that's ever happened before.
Rude.
Okay. Keeping the 4. All right. I will.
All right, very, very, pretty boring play by Connor. Just turn one, fetch land, go. Boring being just because he's probably looking for another land. Or if he's not looking for another land, he's just looking to see what his opponent does first. Oh, we have a thought cease here. Let's see. Connor, show us your secret. What do you have? That is a force of negation and endurance. Regardless, violent outburst and a
Endurance is a
land. So I was
good
right. He is
boy.
looking for another land. So if I'm Scotty here, I'm snapping off that endurance. You can have the force negation because your only target that you can get rid of, and Scotty agrees, the only target that the force can get rid of is a shardless agent. And by doing that, it goes to 2 cards in hand, one being land, one of them being violent outburst. Scotty can play it through a violent outburst. That's not a problem. And if Connor wants to counter one of Scotty's spells,
Unfortunately not.
really what he's going to end up doing is he's going to, because all of Scotty's cards that draw discard as additional cost.
Actually, hold on.
I guess not. I guess
No,
not
the new one does
discovery.
not. The red-white does not discard as part of the cost, which that's kind of relevant when it comes to obviously the scenario. Or just being able to cast it without having cards in hand.
But
Like
if
you
I was a,
literally
but if I was a
cannot
betting
cast
man,
without a.
if I was a betting man
Yeah.
here, and as you know, Danny, I'm not because I like my money too much.
No, of course not.
I would say that Scotty does not have the infinite discovery because if he had the infinite discovery, he would snap off the force and with that line of thinking
Right. Well, the thing is
and
that
leave the
endurance
endurance.
endurance is still going to get you right, no matter what.
Yeah, but you're gonna put your opponent down to 0 resources in hand.
Fair enough.
So actually, this might be an infinite discovery. Let's see if Connor respects it. If I was in this scenario and I was Connor, I would snap off that force. It is an infinite discovery. Okay, yeah, I would snap off this force. Thinking on it. Okay. Now by exiling this Guardless agent with the force negation, it really puts Scotty in an excellent position because the Charlotte's agent, as kind of mediocre as it seems just being a 2/2, just adding the extra 2/2 to the board is very significant because it gets that chip damage in. There we go. And Scotty did have a draw 3 in his hand. And I don't know what that white card is
It
he
is a
discarded.
Ray of Revelation.
Ah, okay. So it's the Ancient Grudge for art for enchantment. Powerful.
Yep.
Pretty weak in by Scotty. However, just gonna take 8 here, go to 7. Just 8. Not a big deal. Flips over a couple creeping chills. He'll be fine.
Now, players just noted that is all 4 endurances going to the bottom part of the library.
Well, that's excellent.
So you're saying that Scotty won't have to endure playing against that card?
Definitely not. Definitely not. So we got two rhinos here. Again, Scotty's gonna go to a nice solid 7. Bang. Okay. Scotty's gonna have to draw something pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, just want to get life with adjusted. So Scotty is going to 4 right now because he had Fetch Shock Thoughtseize and then Fetch Shock and now taking 8, going down to 4.
Well, not a problem. He's just gonna flip 2 to 3 creeping chills off the top when he discards
just
this
letting you guys. Yeah. Nope.
this thing
Never
beat him.
mind.
Scotty's a coward. He scooped his cards up a little too early.
He'll just get him next game.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit confused on this Ray of Revelation that Scotty's sideboarding. It seems a little
He
bit.
just said he was afraid
It
of
seems
Leyline.
sure. But Leyline's still fine.
Yeah, I mean, he was in the blind, like respecting a card like Leyline, a card that is will shut you out of the game. You kind of need at least something. So
So going into game three, Scotty being on the play, I strongly disagree with Scotty's inclination that a Leyline of the Void would be in this deck. Team of Crashcades will not play Line of the Void. They play 4 copies of an Endurance. Leyline of the Void would be utterly uncastable and a dead card in their deck. So it will not be in the deck. The Ray of Revelation should come out, and we should put something a little bit more meaningful in the deck.
I confirm that Scotty's thought process was blanking on Endurance as a graveyard out, and Leyline of the Void you also cannot cascade into, so it still like fits the the mana value for what you want in your Crashcade deck.
Too much. Pause fees. So then what do we have here? We have 3 cards. Shardless is actually quite tempting here. So he's going to take the Endurance because that's going to a card that directly affects his game plan. There is argument to take the Shardless Agent, so it stops Rhinos coming in on turn 3. Instead, we're just going to have Rhinos coming on his opponent's turn 4. Probably just fetching for a basic Forest here. Or possibly go for the Breeding Pool or a Stomping Ground.
I would definitely
Maybe a Stomping Ground.
I would definitely say that trying to taking the Shardless Agent there would be playing to not lose as opposed to playing to win. Endurance directly stops you from winning the game on Dredge, whereas the Shardless will just help Connor win. So by taking that, you're just saying, I don't want you to win, as opposed to, I'd like to win.
You're also not thinking, Danny, that he has to evoke the Endurance. How is he going to evoke Endurance if you take Shardless Agent? He needs to exile the Crashing Footfalls from his hand. So at this point in time, going into Scotty's turn 2, he would not have the proper resources to Endurance.
Well, no, he would be fine if it's the Rhino, right? Because you're fine that if it's in your hand, you don't want it.
Then he has no resources to kill you.
There was a few. I mean, you would have to live off the top deck, but yeah, I definitely recognize why that was taken.
Okay, we get another Rhinos on suspend. Not a big deal. Scotty's game plan is still going to be killing his opponent by turn 4. So realistically, only 1 Rhinos will be cast at this point. Or at that point, he will be able to shard this into another Rhino, which would be fine. So he'll have a total of 4 Rhinos going into play on, being in play on his turn 4. The Scotty just needs to dig as deep as he can. So Cathartic's a good start, and we do have a Stinkweed in. So we're going to draw a minimum 8 cards. Or 9 cards, excuse me. There's our 2 Stinkweeds. Okay, so we're drawing 15. Okay, we're going last 5. A couple prized amalgams, which are really good. Ooh, Ox of Agonis. Okay. So I don't believe I saw any reanimate cards hit the bin. I am correct. I do think that a copy of Creeping Chill was hit, which reset the life totals. If I'm Scotty, I do think I'm attacking with this Narcomoeba. I'm not sure what his thought process is.
We have confirmation. Scotty could not remember whether that could attack or not. So, tactical forgetfulness. So we've got a blocker.
That's right.
Some beautiful basics from Counter here. That is an Onslaught Forest by John Avon, and I believe that is a. It's not an Onslaught Island. Actually, it possibly could be an Onslaught Island. Either way, gorgeous islands. We got some rhinos. It looks like Counter forgot to tick down the dice on his rhinos, perhaps. Can't see very clear through the Switch Gaming logo. He did forget to take it down. That's unfortunate. So now he will have to wait until turn 5 to have another set of rhinos, which actually by that time was probably going to be too late. So we got a couple prize amalgams coming in at the end of turn. If I'm Scotty here, I'm actually probably going to go with an Ox of Agonis here, really pressure my opponent. This is going to be, if I am Scotty, this is where I'm laying down my flag. This is where I'm taking a stand. That Fury in hand is not coming down. I don't really care about that card. I want to just get as many cards from my graveyard into play. And by casting Ox, we're drawing an additional 15 cards. If my opponent's going to endurance me. That's not a big deal. Just pedal to the metal. And he agrees. There's the Ox. Got to exile 8 cards to escape that. Scotty says, I'm going to leave these 2 prize amalgams. Those aren't going anywhere. Those will be coming into play. A little aggressive to be taking out all your draw effects. If your opponent was to endurance you, those would be ways to draw through your deck again and get back in the game. However, I can see the appeal of keeping your Thoughtseize and such in the deck. So we're going to draw first draw 5. There's the fun creeping chill. Excellent. Let's go again. Another 5. There is another Narcomoeba. There's a Conflagrate. Another Ox. Okay. Nothing really super relevant there yet. Okay, let's go 5 deeper. Another prize amalgam. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to be putting a ton of pressure onto our opponent going into this next turn. And looks like Connor being at 5. This means that the Narcomoebas themselves are a 2-turn clock. And realistically, he needs to be able to cast Fury here, or he needs to be able to find an endurance to start blocking. And Connor looks like he does not have the requisite red card to evoke Fury. So it looks like we are going to be attacking for. Oh, he did find it. He found another Fury. Excellent. Okay. He's able to kill the Narcomoebas. So he's still in the game. His opponent will be attacking 4, put him down to 1, or 2, excuse me, because he's going to let 1 prize amalgam go through. However, there is a Conflagrate in the yard. So this game actually is over right now. It's got to go into 24. We're going to Life from the Loam, get 3 lands. Doesn't really matter which ones. Just needs to be able to produce red we got a gemstone mine, which is perfect. Gemstone mine. Tap for plate conflagrate. There we go. Excellent. Go to 23, and that's 5. Excellent game. Very close one. Very close one. It really, if Scotty did not, put his, you know, really lay on the gas right there with the ox, um, Connor could have gotten right back into it. Definitely a huge misplay, not down ticking the dice. If he did down tick his dice in the upkeep on the crushing footballs, he would have had 5 creatures in play. So all he would need to find was a way to basically just survive a conflagrate, which is not that. I mean, he could have found a lot of cards. There was a lot of outs. However, by not doing that, there was a lot less outs in the deck. Didn't really matter. You did draw Fury, but when you're playing these kind of matches, you want to look at what you could have done to possibly alter the outcome, not have variance alter the outcome. And in this particular scenario, if he just downticked his dice properly, would have had a very strong possibility of just closing the game out. But I mean, I can say from experience, I have forgotten my Bitter Blossom triggers with Ares when I used to play those very competitively. And those have cost me many a games when you forget those. So it is an important lesson to learn. Granted, it is a Monday Night Magic. If Connor really, requested it, Scotty's a nice guy. He would have obviously let him downtick his dice. But definitely for those playing the Temur Cascade deck in the future, definitely, there's no shame putting a dice on top of your deck just to remember those triggers. Because I mean, realistically, if you don't, you're going to have some misplays. A reminder never hurt anybody. So we are going to go on a short break, and when round 2 comes back, we'll be, having some more Magic, and possibly see Scotty on later in the day if he continues to go undefeated. Maybe he's going to be bounty for 2 weeks in a row. He'd be the second person to do that. That'd be cool. So we'll be back shortly, and thank you so much for sticking with us and watching at this point in time.
Yep.
We're live.
Yep.
All right, and we are back. We got Daniel Stork with some hardened scales. Not sure if it's green, white, green, black, or mono green. There's just scales involved. I'm assuming it's going to be some green. If I was to guess, probably green, black. It's typically the more popular color. White does give you access to some better cyber removal. Green, red. Okay. Well, green, red is typical nowadays. Um, because of the Zibaz. And Chris Smith is on some black and green Yawgmoth. And Daniel starts out with a copy of Llanowar Reborn, very unique land that is exclusive to the Heart of Scales deck. When it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter. And by you, it has the graft ability, which says whenever a creature enters play, it does cause a trigger to occur, where in fact Daniel is able to transfer the 1/1 counter to that creature. A bit of a nightmare card to play on Magic Online from uh, being real from that perspective, because it does trigger whenever any creature enters play. Plays a little bit easier in paper. But it is a very important card to know about the draft trigger because as a Scales player, when you play any creature, your opponent has to respond to the trigger. And once it resolves, then you have the option to move the counter. So when you place your creature into play, say a Hangerback Walker, you declare the trigger of Llanowar Reborn. If your opponent has an answer, they can use it at that point. If they decline to answer to the trigger, then at that point, you as player can move the 1/1 counter. You do not have to, and your opponent cannot respond to it. And then we start with an Ozolith. So good. And a Ancient Stirrings. And we're grabbing Hangerback. Um, Pretty medium in this particular matchup. And it does, Chris going with the Nurturing Peelhead into the Ignoble Hierarch does kind of reveal what he's on. It's either a Jund deck or Yawgmoth, one or the other. But against the Jund deck, it's an exceptional card, Hangerback Walkers. Young, this assuredly Daniel knows what he's playing against at this point in time now. And we have a beautiful Verdant Catacombs, old board. And what is Chris going to do here? 2 mana is not great for the Yawgmoth deck. He could possibly play a Wall of Roots, which would be quite good on the following turn. But we're going to find out here. And that is a Blood Artist. So Chris does have one part of the combo down. He's got a way to drain his opponent's life total. The other part he needs to find is he needs to find a second persist creature, and he also needs to find a copy of Yawgmoth Thran Physician. Once he assembles those 2 cards, or 2 options, then suddenly he is going to win the game on the spot. Another card that the Black-Green Yawgmoth deck also does play as a one-of on occasion is Essence Warden, which is kind of cute. It makes it so it allows them to, when they have an Essence Word, allows them to go infinite, quote unquote infinite, and just draw his entire deck without losing a life. Okay, we got a Hangerback. That ain't no Hangerback, girl. And I hate those 1/1 counter things. Very difficult to see on screen, but it looks like we've 2. And we're playing a Shadow Spear. Okay, so Hardened Scales off to a pretty medium start, if I'm being quite frank. Yawgmoth is off to a pretty good start. This could be a Yawgmoth in play this turn. but we'll have to see what happens. He did fetch for a forest, which is either telling Daniel that he has the second black source locked up, which he does. He's trying to conserve life total because this is going to be a little bit grindier of the game. Perhaps he needs to more aggressively fetch his life total down. And the Yawgmoth combo, if he is going to go with the uh, typical Geralt's Messenger route, which I'm not a huge fan of, does require your life total to be higher than your opponent's by at least one to break even and eventually drain your opponent down to 0. And the land go is not good for Chris. Uh, I'm hoping Daniel hear this turn. That's a Phyrexian Core, if I'm not mistaken. Or it could be a Pendelhaven. That's Pendelhaven, excuse me. Not good in the scenario, but I'm hoping what Daniel does, he equips the Shadow Spear, blocks him for 3. Not a very. This deck is not going to be winning by attacking, typically speaking. However, by dropping Chris's life total down and just kind of, it's a 6-point life swing if he doesn't block. And then, what do we have here? Ooh, that's Archbound Ravager. Quite powerful. So what we're looking at here is he could generate, do some quick math here. He can animate the Inkmoth Nexus, sack put 2 on there, put 2 Thopters, put 4, 5, 7. It is not lethal. One will be at 8 poison if I count correctly. But I could be wrong. Archbound Ravager math is a little bit tricky, especially to do on the fly. If I was in Daniel's shoes, I would have been thinking about this a turn beforehand. So we're looking at, let me just reconfirm. So that's 2 on the Ravager, 2, 2, 4, 5, 2. Yeah, so he can hit for 8 poison, which is good. It's quite good. Actually, no, it is lethal. It is lethal. If he sacks everything to the Ravager. Yes. Okay. So what he's going to do is he's going to sack the Hangerback Walker, put counters on the Ravager, generate 2 Thopters. The Ozolith's going to get 2 counters placed onto it, and then he's going to proceed to sack his board to the Ravager, leaving the Ozolith in play. We got, yep, 2 Thopters. And the Ozolith should have 2 counters on it. Yep. So we're going to sack the Shadow Spear now. Bang. That'll put 5 on the Ravager. Put 6 on the Inkmoth. Or we're going to put all 5 on the Inkmoth, putting 5 more counters on the Ozolith. Ozolith's going to transfer counters. So in total, the Inkmoth's going to be taken for 13 poison. And Chris is, of course, reminding his opponent of Blood Gas triggers. A little bit of a dangerous move for Daniel to be doing this. And it looks like Daniel miscount. Oh, no, he didn't miscount. He's just committing everything incorrectly. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so if Daniel committed in the procedure that I had explained, he would have a huge Inkmoth Nexus right now before the trigger of the Ozolith even resolved. So it would demand an answer, and he would be going into his next turn. Daniel would be going to his next turn with an Ozolith in place. Hard Scale is very difficult deck to sequence properly, so no shame in that. Shame in that. It's very, like I said, I wasn't even counting it correctly at first. That's an endurance. That's pretty good. Now, if I'm Daniel, I'm making the commitment still. If we can get just a die in play, Danny, that would be a little bit easier for me to read on my end here. Because those counters are a little bit of a nightmare. and that is a Court of Calling. Thank you, Danny. Appreciate that. Court of Calling X equals 2, I believe. 1. Okay. He's got a young wolf in play. So if he does have a Yawgmoth, he can theoretically draw his. He can actually kill. We will have to see what happens. I'm assuming based on this Court of Calling, this is a pretty confident Court of Calling X equals 1. Um, we can draw here. I'm assuming this is all wrapped up. But let's see. Is Chris going to turn them all sideways pretty quick? This is a Court of Calling. X equals 4. Excellent. So this is going to go grab the Yawgmoth. Okay. And Daniel is saying, "Show me the card." Ooh, it is a beautiful, beautiful time shifted foil. Excellent. And is he going to have his opponent explain it to him? Okay, he's walking him through it. Walking him through it. Okay, yep. Pick up the cards. Let's go on to game 2. Excellent match there. Like I said, there was some sequencing errors by Daniel, but again, very difficult deck to pilot. You know, for those who are looking to pick up this deck, it does take a lot of practice to pilot proficiently. I myself even don't play this at tournaments because I'm not confident in my ability to play it 100% proficiently all the time. Because there is a lot of different lines you can take to maximize value. But definitely, I think Daniel was definitely correct there to threaten the lethal line. As far as what Daniel would bring in, a lot of these hard skills like do sideboard Torpor Orb now, which that would stop a Geralf's Messenger line of lethal. It also stop a lot of the effects such as Rexage, which they do historically play. Eternal Witness, again, historically play. Another card that would probably come in from Daniel's side is Pithing Needle, which is actually a slam dunk in this matchup. If you can just land the Pithing Needle and name Yawgmoth 3 in position, you can pretty much close the game out. I've beaten people many a times just by playing that in game 1 with Offender's Saga. It's pretty good. But as far as what Chris is going to sideboard in, that's a tough one. I believe they still play Collector Oops, which would be an incredible blowout if he was able to get that at the proper time. Especially because he can Court of Calling into it, which is just ridiculous. Also, worthy of mention is that Daniel is not playing a copy of Lurrus of the Dream Den, which makes you wonder what is in his deck that's causing him not to be able to play it. I would assume that he's playing more of a construct variant, and he has in his deck. It's the oh gosh, drawing a blank on. I'm a big fan of it in my scales list. It's a 3 mana 0/0 modular 2 that you can sack an artifact to tutor up any construct. Maybe Danny is familiar with it. He can let me know, but not familiar off the cuff with it. But that might be a possibility of what he's playing. There's not that many 3 drops that Scales could possibly play that would make Lurrus not an option, and it doesn't seem like it would be that uh, unreasonable. Excuse me. To cut a card from your sideboard to be able to just gain access to that card. You would have to change your mana base up a little bit, but not too much, as the Scales deck typically does play a lot of pay lands. Getting a nice peek of Christmas sideboard, so some Tocatli honor guards, some Foss, who's a Veil of Summer. Nothing really super relevant. I'm assuming he does have a couple good ones. Like I said, Oof or Rexade would be quite good. And historically, they do play at least one of each of those. All right, we're gonna cut and let's get this game two rolling. Uh, Chris is doing the old cut thin to win strategy. I see a dismember, I believe, in Daniel's hand. I didn't see a land, and currently the hand is not good enough to even consider. Probably landless. No, can't really cast your spells if you have no mana. And actually, for Scales being so low to the ground in terms of CMC, it is not a deck that can play very well with only one or two lands. Really is a pretty mana intensive deck. I'm not sure why we have this circle in the middle of the screen. Okay. Strange. Alright. Daniel does like his 6. Ooh, he starts with the Llanowar Reborn again. Beat those 1/1 counters. Oh, thank you, Danny. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Alright, it looks like that was a Blooming Marsh into an Ignoble Hierarch. So both players kind of doing what they want to enter one. That's a Pendelhaven. Beautiful Judge promo, Pendelhaven. It looks like we're going to be playing a copy of Assembly Worker, or not Assembly Worker, Earthbound Worker, and followed by an Ozlith. A little bit of a missequencing here. Should have played the Ozlith first, before they mentioned, but um, very powerful play nonetheless by Danny. So Nurturing Peatland. So Chris's mana is perfect. He is able to play almost any card in his deck at this during this turn. Only one being, of course, a Court of Calling. I guess Court of Calling for a Dryad Arbor. I believe they do play one of in the decks. Um, I'm not familiar with this. This looks like it is a Innistrad Midnight Hunt card. I believe this might be the one that you sacrifice. You pay 1 to blow up a artifact or enchant. Very powerful card. And I believe on the backside, whenever it attacks, you destroy an artifact or enchantment. And it also does have, of course, still the pay 1 to blow up an artifact or enchantment line as well. But I'm not sure exactly what that card is called, if I'm being honest. And but it is a very powerful card. That is what I think it is. Outland Liberator. Did you? Yeah, if you just messaged me on Messenger, I could see it. Yeah, I guess I was correct. It is an Outland Liberator. Ah, there we go. We are in day. We're in the middle of the day. Okay. Now what is Daniel going to do? He's in a really tough spot here because Chris can is threatening to really disrupt his board state very quickly. Possibly a walking ballista would be good. We're just going to do a hangerback walker. Seems fine putting those counters on there. But if I'm Chris, I am not going to cast any spells. I'm just going to draw my card, play my land, go to combat, and attack the Outland Liberator. Get a uh, triggers off of Ignoble Hierarchy. He'll be attacking 4, meaning there's no good blocks on Daniel's side. Where they mentioned Daniel did miss a land drop as well. And like I did say, this deck is very mana intensive to really get those really explosive plays where he can close out the game very quickly. Now, an option that Daniel does have is he can attack with the Outland Liberator. Yeah, this seems like what he's going to be doing. Okay. I was going to say his opponent could block with the Arcbound Worker doing a modular trigger on the Hangerback Walker, and obviously the Ozlith would get 1 counter as well. Daniel thought better of it. Just take 4 on the chin, use your life total as a resource. And is Chris going to play? Oh, okay. There is Dryad Arbor. I was correct in that. That is still, he did not cast a spell. So he can pass turn, and let's go to night. And we are nightbound. Flip that over, bang. That is now I believe, a 4. Actually, I believe it's a 3/3. It's a 3/3, but we can attack for 5, trigger, destroy, probably Ozolith. I was a betting man. I'm thinking long and hard. This is a really critical turn. Oh, okay. The Outland Liberator is a 3/3, so I was correct by saying it would go to a 5/5. Okay. Thank you for that correction, Ding. I appreciate that. These new cards, I'm a little bit ignorant to some of them. That is one that is on my radar though, as a card to always watch out for because it can really bully out pretty quickly. Okay, so 10 1 mana. Via Zabaz, perhaps. It has been a little bit longer of a turn, but you got to give Daniel a little bit of leeway here. It was a very critical turn. Disagree with this attack here. Um, oh man, that's really unfortunate. The hard cast endurance. I would actually was going to say I disagree with this attack because I think pumping your back walker gives you a little bit more value. So this block here, just really devastating. You get the two Thopters, yes, but the Outland Liberator in the next turn is going to attack for 5. So your opponent, you have no good blocks, and your opponent's going to be able to destroy the Ozolith before the Ozolith actually triggers to place the counters onto something. So we're leaving a lot of value just left on the table. That is a Zabaz. So, and again, we've only got 4 power in place. This Outland Liberator is still attacking. When it attacks, it's still the biggest thing in play. There's no effective way for Daniel to get this thing off the board. Chris is in just an absolutely commanding position here. I don't quite understand why we're just casting anything right now. I always tell people just do the stuff that you know you're gonna do. Just get that out of the way. You're playing a wall of roots. Okay, that's fine. Chris is not going to be casting 2 spells. He does not want to go back to day. Oh, and I guess he thinks better of it. It's a little bit. It's a grist. Okay. So I think this is a huge missequence from Chris. I don't think there's any real reason to get this grist into play. There's no real good reason why I would want this grist at this exact moment. Because now we're going to be going back to day. And we go back to day, the, uh, excuse me, the werewolf is going to go back to a human. And then we're going to be losing a lot of value. It generates a lot of value when it's in this werewolf form just by attacking. That's a dismember. So that's fine. That's fine. So there's an argument here for now. If you're in Chris's shoes, he would say that his sequencing didn't matter. Sequencing entirely did matter in that where he could have just went to combat, forced that, and then before his opponent gets any free information on what cards are in his hand. Because the Hardened Skills deck is not beaten in a single attack. It takes many turns. It is a constant war of attrition. You have to outvalue the Scales player. And the Grist not plus and it didn't minus. I'm not sure what happened there. Perhaps Danny can get some clarification on that for us. Oh, okay. So Danny did let us know he did forget. And again, that's because he did, like I said, sequencing does matter. Because if he does that in the second main, obviously when you cast something right away, you're going to remember to use it right away. Okay, and I bet you he's going to go after this Grist. Get the Grist off the board. That card is actually quite threatening. Yep, smart. Smart. And at this point in time, Chris really doesn't have anything going on. He lost a lot of his value when he lost the werewolf. So now he has to completely basically rebuild. He needs to get some creatures with Undying into play. He needs to find his Court of Callings. He needs to get this game really rolling. Even just getting a Yawgmoth into play would not be that bad. It would be able to counteract the Archon Ravager to a great extent. And by minusing on the Zabaz, taking a counter off Zabaz, you just outright kill it. That looks like it is a young wolf. So we got the first persist creature into play. So we're getting the ball, moving the ball in the right direction. Now, if I'm Chris, I am turning that endurance sideways. Let's force my opponent to use if he's going to use the Archon Ravager, he's going to have to sacrifice the Zabaz and um, the Thopter. Or he could sacrifice the Zabaz, go to 4 counters, then use the Pendelhaven on the Thopter to generate enough power to kill the Endurance, but then he loses the Archon Ravager. So either way, if Daniel wanted to stop the attack, he would have to sacrifice 2 cards to do it. Both these decks definitely a little bit more on the complicated side of modern. Okay, so we're attacking for 5. I like this play. No, come on, Chris, bang, bang. There we go, bang, 5 damage. And Daniel does have to block this. There's an argument you could say he doesn't have to, but if the Dross Messenger is in Chris's hand, this is a lethal attack. Interesting. I believe that card has one. That Thopter has one too many counters on it. It should only be at 5 counters because it had 2 on it previously. The Archon Raptor had 2. It would go to 3, so it'd be a 6/6 right. Okay, now that we got that corrected, let's move on. So Blocks of the Archon Raptor, that is his best card. Okay. It looks like they're discussing on how many counters it's supposed to have. It is supposed to have 5/1/1 counters on it. Okay, there we go. So now, if Chris was to find, let's say, Rexage, he could blow up this Thopter, and really, there's Daniel has nothing else really going on. Okay, so we're drawing. I like this. I like this. Dig. Let's find it. Oh, he found a chord. Okay, so we can quarter calling for 3. I like this. I like this line of thinking. Chris is really pretty heads up what he's doing here, just passing the turn here. So he could actually quarter call for 4 with the Wall of Roots during Daniel's turn, and then he could find Yawgmoth and start clearing Daniel's board. All right, we're taking 6, go to 11. Bang. And the follow up for Daniel. Thinking on it. Ooh, it's another Ravager. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. That's a good follow up. Now, Pithing Needle. Okay. You'll let this resolve. You'll let your opponent name what they're going to name. If he names Yawgmoth for him position, that's fine. If he names the Verdant Catacombs, that's fine too. I don't think that's a big deal. If Daniel's idea is to lock down a land, that's fine. It looks like that's probably what he did. Now I'm picking on Yawgmoth. Okay, that's the correct play. Okay, so that's the third neg 1 counter. Ooh, the Essence Warden. Okay, so if he is able to find another, if he's able to remove the Pithing Needle and find another Undying creature, he's able to effectively draw his entire deck. As it stands right now, um, if I'm Chris, I'm just turning this Endurance sideways. I think you're getting a little too much, giving a little too much information now. And checking with the Young Wolf is actually a pretty bad attack. I'm a little bit confused by this. If he attacks for 5, 6 actually with the Endurance, he's then threatening on the next. He's threatening if his opponent lets the attack go through. He's presenting a lethal attack. This actually makes it so that is not a possible line. So definitely not quite sure why the attack was done like that. Obviously, don't know the last card in Chris's hand. Could be anything. Ooh, big follow up by Daniel here. Ancient Sterns. Okay, so we just need. There's a lot of cards that can just end the game right here. Throne of Geth. Does that do it? Okay, so we can proliferate uh, two, two. Gotta flex my hardened skills math here real quick. By sacking you're definitely gonna want to sack. I would say the Pithing Needle at this point. Sack the Pithing Needle. We go to 2. Okay. He's telling his opponent, you got to do the math right now. Hmm. All of Chris' attacks are technically lethal at this point. However, they're just going to go feed the machine with the throne. Bang. Gonna block, probably block with a Thopter. Yep. And stack that to the throne. Okay, stacking it to the Ravager. A little bit of a misstep there. Untap. What did Daniel pull off the top? See if Chris has a way to prevent lethal here. I'm a little unclear on why the throne is not being used. I could possibly be missing something. I don't think I am. So now Yawgmoth is back on the table. Stacking the Arc Runner of the trigger proliferate. Okay. So now he's got the trigger of modular on the stack. If we do have a copy of Quarter Calling, we can Quarter Calling into. Okay, I guess that's not what we're doing. Okay. So again, okay. So it looks like Daniel wins that game. Definitely not the cleanest. Um, again, when you're playing the Hardened Scales deck, you really need to optimize your lines. If he properly did the sack the Thopter on the next turn, on the previous turn, it puts the Arc Runner to 2, puts the Zabaz to 2, puts the Thopter to 7, and then he's able to on the next turn stack the Needle with the Throne, and again put the Raptor to 3, put the Zabaz to 3, and then put the Thopter to 8, and then just by sacking the Ravager to itself, or you could, sack the Ravager to itself, you're generating enough uh, 1/1 counters on the Thopter, and so you leave yourself as a Zabaz. I guess minor missteps. And you're left with a throne and a throne and a Zabaz. Minor missteps, but they do add up, especially in a deck with incremental value like Scales. So for those watching, I mean, those are just some lines you can look out for. Going into game 3, I think uh, I think the Yawgmoth deck is favored in this matchup. Um, if he's able to find, I don't know if he has Oof in the deck. Typically, they play one Oof, and with Hammer still running around, I don't know why you wouldn't play one Oof, but typically they play one Oof. I do like the Werewolf in there. That's pretty good. Really good turn 2 play. Um, but he would be able to very quickly put some pressure on the Scales player and really minimize the value that they could produce. Okay, so let's go to game. So we're going to game three. Hopefully, both players keep a nice 7. Uh, have a really good match. I do think these are both very interesting decks. I myself am a. I'm not going to say I'm a scaled expert. I'm a scaled enthusiast. I have the deck in its entirety, but I don't. Like I said previously, I don't really play it very much, especially competitively, because I'm a little bit afraid to for how many misplays can be made. Um, there's a lot of different lines, and is a there's a correct line and a lot of there's one correct line and a lot of incorrect lines. It's very easy to go down one of the incorrect lines, and you lose a lot of value in the process. And hopefully, for those interested in the deck that are watching, we have gone over some different lines that Daniel could have taken and maximized his value. And hopefully, that those kind of looking at the deck in those kind of ways does give you some more is a boon to you in your future games with the deck. Okay, so keep six on Daniel said. I believe Chris kept 7. Could be mistaken. Leading with a Blooming Marsh to an Ignoble. Excuse me, Ignoble. Great play. Exactly where this deck wants to be starting. The Power Depot was a great turn 1 play for Daniel. Uh, arguably more powerful than the Llanowar Reborn. And this looks like a Shekelgeist, if I remember the card's name correctly. And it looks like we're going to be crashing for 3. And that is a 2-1 with haste and persist. Definitely one of Daniel's, or excuse me, Chris's best ways to really get some pressure going in the early games. And our left totals are incorrect. That should be Daniel should be at 17 because the used exalted trigger. All right, there we go. And turn 2 land is an ink text. Now that's pretty scary if you're in Chris's spot. I believe I did see an endurance in Chris's hand, which will be able to block that, but he will be able to hold the mana up for a very long period of time. Now, hanger back on x equals 1 is not scary. Now, Chris has a pretty good hand here. We're going into his turn 3. He's actually 4 mana on this turn, and we do have a Shacklegeist attacking for 3. All right. Wonder what's going through Chris's hand here. I can't really see what's in the grip. I wish we could. Just a little bit more insight. Basic Swamp. Beautiful Basic Swamp. I run all these other borders I'm in love. So we do have access to the requisite 4 mana. I think Chris needs to make do the obvious play first. I think it's very clear he's going to be attacking with the Shacklegeist. So let's attack with the Shacklegeist, give our opponent as little information as possible before we start casting stuff. Because if he does cast a, let's say, a Yawgmoth during position this turn, I want to ensure that my 3 damage got through. Now, I wonder if Chris is not aware of the interaction by putting a neg 1 counter on this Hangerback Walker. He will still get the Thopter token. It does not remove the 1/1 counter initially. It will die to do state-based effect before removing the 1/1 counter. All right, and Chris is doing my line here. Bam, get him for 3. rumble in the jungle a little bit. If you got the Yawgmoth, you got to play it this turn. Just really thinking deep on this one. What could he possibly have in hand? Young Wolf, excellent. Actually, so we do get the requisite two persist creatures in play. So Yawgmoth is uh, not necessarily lethal at this point, but he's able to go through his entire deck. He's able to chain it. Eldritch Evolution. This is Yawgmoth. We got that beautiful old border foil Yawgmoth. Now, what is Chris's follow-up here? Is he going to just start chaining off and drawing cards? I think that's a. We're not at that point yet where we need to do that. I'm of the opinion we can just pass turn. He's thinking a little bit better than of me. Second, okay. Now, Danny, can we get a Thopter in there as well? I don't think the players are aware of this interaction. He will still get the Thopter. Thank you. Looks like we have a pathway. And he still is able to draw a lot of cards at instant speed here by sacrificing Noble. Okay, we have an Oslo. All right, all right. The Snarkbone Raptor, perhaps? Okay, so he has a bit of a decision to make. I think on the stack, I would get rid of that their Thopter. Hmm. Thought better of it. Okay. Snarkbone Raptor's in play. Port of Calling. X equals 1 at this point. If he has I'm a little bit confused with this. If he does have the Geralt Messenger in the deck, he can Court of Calling for 3, rip out the Geralt and combo for win. But I guess he's only doing it for 1. I'm a little unclear on why this is. I'm sure it's going to be another Undying creature. And we are in time of the round. I'm not sure if there's a extension on this game. Okay. So he is going for the I'm going to draw my entire deck line. He's going to float a man off the Signoble. Probably a green. Yep. He's going to put a neg 1 counter on his Shackle Gaze. He's going to do this over and over again. He's going to draw his entire deck. Now, very interesting line here. Chris so he's going to draw his entire deck. That's already clear. He's going could move to his cleanup step after assembling the 7 cards he wants to play with, and then just endurance himself to recycle his deck. It's like Daniel's just gonna. Oh, and that was the line. That was the line. Excellent. Well played by Chris. Well played on that turn. I think he's showing his opponent. He'd be a good sport about it, showing his opponent he's going to go get a blood artist or what have you, some effect that's going to drain his opponent's life while he is remaining at net neutral while drawing a card. So excellent, excellent last turn there by Chris. The Essence Warden, I completely forgot about that. Definitely, definitely a very cool interaction, and definitely sweet that you can now do that with an Endurance to basically reset your deck and be able to just combo whatever you really want. Um, very cool. Very, very cool. Only sided in a few cards. That means the Endurance is our main board. That makes sense. Magus of the Moon's pretty good. But no, excellent, excellent game there. Excellent match. Very cool deck. So thank you, Judge Sean, for picking those out for us. And for those still watching, thank you so much for continuing to watch. We're going to take a short break here in a minute, but I want to please ask anybody watching if you're liking the content. We do this every Monday. Please follow, like, subscribe, whatever the case may be. Um, if you're watching us now on Twitch, if you are watching this replay on YouTube, we thank you for watching on YouTube, and please like, follow, subscribe on that as well. And like I said, we do this every Monday, and Steven is pretty adamant about getting content out every day of the week. He does a lot of testing. This past couple weeks, he was doing a lot of standard testing and prep for the Invitational, the SCG Invitational, which he ended up taking 12th place. So the testing obviously did him a lot of good. So he does have quite a bit of good content there. So definitely check that out whenever he streams. Like I say, usually does it Monday through Friday, and we do this every Monday night. So thank you so much for watching. We'll be back here in just a second for round 3. It looks like we're back for round 3. We have Team Squish member Nathan Kainz playing Jund Sagavan versus Kyle Gonzalez playing some Just Got Humans. Um, Nate has been playing the Sagavan deck for quite some time. He was on just red green prior. I believe he was playing he had the black after he felt his instruments side were a little bit poor in their performance. I'm being told this is a rematch from last week. I'm not sure who won uh, last week. It looks like Nate won last week from what I'm being told. So Kyle's looking for a little bit of retribution on this one. Uh, as far as Jeskai Humans goes, uh, I'm sure we're just making it so we're cutting out like the 5 colors that we don't need. So, like, say we're cutting the Noble Hierarch, which I think is a mistake, as it does allow for some of your most explosive turn twos, and it also allows you. It takes away your excuse me, Kite Self Rebooter. Not necessarily the most prevalent card in the human deck, but it does give you a lot of range in matchups or in your interaction versus some matchups. Um, I know the humans are a little bit of the talk of the town right now because there are some really neat humans coming out in Innistrad uh, Crimson Vow coming out. A lot of nice interactions in green. Nice 4-mana enchantment. This is whenever human control dies, I believe, you draw a card. And then if you ever a creature with a 1/1 counter it dies, you gain life, if I'm not mistaken. Really cool stuff. Other nice cards in there for the humans deck as well. Nice pickups. Um, but for now, we're just going to be talking about Jeskai and the cards that Kyle, if I'm just going off the cuff right now, that he has access to. Reflector Mages, obviously. Uh, he gets access to, obviously, the Thalia's Lieutenants. He gets access to Mantis Rider. One nice thing about being a Jeskai deck is you do get fetch lands, you get a little bit more, your mana base is a little bit cleaner, and you still retain all of the most powerful cards from the 5/5 Humans deck. Oh, but it looks like he gets access to a little bit of interaction. In this case, Lightning Bolt to clean up the Ragavan. And going to turn 2 for Kyle. Let's see what he has. He's stored going to 15. Probably a Thalia. And there she is. The Guardian of Thraben. Definitely not the card that Nate wants to see being on the draw. If he was on the play, you could have access to a Renin 6 or by now, able to clean that up. He's going to have to play through this Thalia the hard way. Possibly a copy of Tarmogoyf coming into play by chance. I do see a copy of Pyrite Spellbomb, which is a nice answer that you can get off Saga. I'm not sure if the Humans deck has a really good, clean answer for Tarmogoyf either. So that might be a really solid card to have here, but it looks like we're gonna have some interaction. I'm assuming a lightning bolt of sorts to clean up the Thalia. Yep. Let's see what the follow up is. A meddling mage. Excellent. And what do you think he's gonna name? There's quite a few good cards he could name. Play against Jundi possibly could name Liliana Vale. Renin 6 looks like it's the name. Thank you, Danny. Ren 6, obviously a great card to name. Uh, and Nate agrees and he's like, nope, I need to have access to Ren. So let's clean that up now. Not sure why he's doing that at this exact moment. It could be a card you just put into play and leave in play. He's fetching a mountain. I'm assuming he's got to follow the Ragavan. And he does. The Nimble Monkey is back. Mm. And one of my favorites, the little Nettle Sentinel action. And now we have a Ollie's Lieutenant coming down, giving it the 1/1 counter, and a Saga. Now, a red and six would be quite the play here. If he was to play red and six, he could pay the tax and still shoot down the Thalia's Attendant and attack with the Ragavan. I would be fine offering the trade actually in this exact moment, because it could really snowball out of control. I believe I did see a red and six in Nate's hand, so that could be an option that he's looking at. 2 mana, 3 mana. It's a red and six. Tell his opponent, yeah, you can draw a card. Let's shoot down that Thalia's Lieutenant though. Let's clean that up. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Thought Season. Follow up after that. Imperial Recruiter plus land? No, it's not a land. I'm not sure what that is. Not sure. I believe it might be a new card from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. Ooh. Good draw. Gavony Dawnguard is what I'm being told that card was. Still not quite entirely sure what that does. I have to refresh myself on it. It's text a little bit later on. And Kyle's in a little bit of an interesting spot. I believe he's got 2 or 3 in the grip. Oh, it looks like the Dawn Guard, I'm being told, is look at the top 4. Got a card with CMC 2 or less, 3 or less, 3 or less to the hand. And it does that whenever night and day changes. Interesting card. Going with a Imperial Recruiter, one of my personal favorite cards. A lot of cards you could grab here. I would be a big fan of grabbing either another copy of Thalia's Lieutenant or another copy of Esper Sentinel would be quite good. So what Kyle needs is he needs gas. I was taking a long think on this one. I'm not quite sure what he's thinking on card. The Dawn Guard might not be bad. Can't grab it. Must be. That's what I'm being told. Must be a higher. It's a 3/3. Excuse me. Thank you, Danny. Appreciate that. So a bit of a not necessarily a non-bow, but well, the value wasn't quite good. I believe that was a Ragavan he grabbed, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Danny did correct me. It is a Ragavan. I don't. I'll be honest. I don't like that in this deck. I think people. I think for people playing Modern right now, I think people are too eager to play Ragavan. Ragavan is not good in all decks. In this deck that Kyle is playing is a perfect example of a deck that is not a Ragavan deck. It has no business being in this deck. Okay. And now, because he went for a Ragavan, he's stone cold, has nothing. Because his Tarmogoyf blocks it. The Saga is going to generate a construct twice. And the Tarmogoyf is a 4/5 right now, which actually I believe that is that might be correct. No, it's incorrect because there's sorcery, instant, artifact, land, creature. It's a 5/6. So yeah. So again, back to the whole Ragavan and all decks. This is a perfect example of a deck that should not play Ragavan. Um, you could argue that it fits, just because it does run red, you can accelerate in the late game, but Humans has enough acceleration in its game. You could play some Sentinels, you can play some Noble Hierarchs, you can really get your game going very quickly. And as a champion of the parish, Monkey doesn't do anything for that. Play the Monkey, doesn't get any power. Your best turn one plays involve a creature sticking on board, and turn two, you're just generating value off that turn one play. Yep, he's picking up the cards. Okay, so we're going to the sideboard. I think in this particular matchup, I think Nate has a lot of cards that are worthwhile. So you can put some engineered explosives. That's a spicy one. The Rack. I like that. Torpor Orb, excellent choice. Terminates are excellent. So he's bringing in like 7, 8 cards. And I don't think that's an oversight. I think all of those cards, well, maybe the Rack is an oversight. Um, better on the engineered explosives. But no, all those cards have a lot of relevant text on them, do relevant effects, and Humans historically just cannot beat a Torpor Orb. And I think that still rings true to this day. They just cannot beat that card. But I think Kyle's trying to mitigate that by making his deck a little bit more effects heavy that are not ETBs. You can do stuff like Ragavan, you can do stuff like Esper Sentinel, etc., etc. Um, but I think it does enough just being in play that your opponent's really not getting out of it. Kind of a death nail if it's used against you. Interested to see what Kyle's deck looks like after sideboards. I think there's a lot of cards that doesn't really want to see in his deck post board. Again, Ragavan being one of them. Meddling Mage is pretty good. Esper Sentinel's pretty good. Pure Recruiter is a little weak, but I think it's a necessity for the Humans deck. Okay. Get ready for game two. See how this game goes. Looks like there's 8 cards in there. Kyle, excellent. Better not draw. Okay. Looks like 8 cards in hand. We might need to get that checked. Even looking at 8, Kyle couldn't find a reasonable 7. It looks like Nate's got a pretty reasonable hand by the looks of it. Going to six, obviously. Kyle will go to six as well. Okay. Starting out with the monkey. Okay. Does the monkey stay? Okay. Then Nate's gonna shock Dragon Rage Channeler. Alright. If Kyle doesn't have a removal spell for the Dragon Rage Channeler, yeah. Okay. Sure. Alright. Now we gotta suck. Oh my gosh. Really brutal. So Saga into Torpor. Really solid. Sanctifier Envec is kind of medium in against the John Sagavan deck. I think the card's actually still pretty insane. But I think it's not going to be doing a whole lot in this particular matchup. And that Saga should be at 2. Yeah, I was going to correct that for him. 15. Okay. Yeah, 13 sounds cool. Inquisition, that should be exiled. We're going to take the Thalia's Lieutenant, more than likely. Thought that, or take the Mantis Rider, okay. Oh, because Torpor does stop the his Lieutenant, so. Actually, the Torpor's a 1-2 right now, so a little bit unimpressive. Yep, and Nate is absolutely correct. It exiles the Mantis Rider. Really not being left with much either. So we had a Meddling Mage, which could do a fair bit of damage, and we had, but he does the blue, and I think he drew a Cavern. And yeah, was Cavern of Souls. So he could also play the Thalia's Lieutenant, which really doesn't do anything, doesn't advance the board state at all. Uh, first things first, he should just chip in with the Sanctifier. It's free damage. Opponent's not really going to do anything. Bang. Sure. Yep. Go to 11. One card in the grip, it looks like. Two cards in the grip for Nate. And if I'm Kyle, I'm going to be cracking that Sunbake King. I got to dig. I got to find an answer. I got to find something. Could possibly play I mean, you could play the Meddling Mage name Lightning Bolt. Danny will get that up as soon as we find out what it's naming. Unholy Heat. Okay, sure, that's reasonable. And chapter 3, I think we just make a construct in response to this. And the Trump Whip is going to be going to a 2-3, so it actually outpaces the board. Oh, it's got a bobble. Oh, that's brutal. Doesn't look like he's going to activate. It looks like he's just floating mana. All right, that's fair. If he has something better to do with his mana, then that's a good call. Kind of like making a 4/4 construct here, really put the humans player to the test. Parry spell excellent, yep. But in this case, you really could just destroy the Sanctifier. And that would put Tarmogoyf up to a 4/5, if I'm not mistaken. Ooh, the Revan 6. Probably just going to be shooting down the, oh, he's going to be adding the land. Okay. And Nate, isn't it really in any rush to with this Renaissance, he really could just go the distance and ultimate it. And if he finds like just a removal spell, like a unholy, excuse me, no, a fatal push to get rid of the Sanctifier, he can actually just get rid of the Sanctifier with a Pirate Spellbomb. And if he finds like an unholy heat, he can just really just clean up the board, continue to clean up the board continuously. And that now should be a 4/5. Yeah. And now Nate's at a commanding lead because if he actually puts the excuse me, the Urza Saga back in his hand, it's going to be make it go at 3/4, which is still make it more powerful than anything in play. And he can just start making conflict from that point forward. And that's really where this the Sagavan deck really gets its stride going. It's just the Renin 6, Urza Saga, just that interaction. Quite powerful. And really, you need to have a very, very good way to disrupt it. And a lot of Kyle's disruptions being shut off by Torpor. Holly is a good start to getting back in this game. Makes it so the Ren 6 doesn't need to make a commitment to just shoot it down if he wants to take care of that this turn. If I'm Nate, I really don't think I care too much about it. Oh, a Dragon Rage Channel, excellent for Nate, excellent. And that Shasker should cost 2 because of Athalia. So it's definitely a misstep by Nate here by not shooting Athalia immediately. Still not that big of a deal. In the grand scheme of things, we're just going to add a Saga back to our hand. Or he says we're going to get rid of the Thalia. Let's just correct the error. Not a big deal. And on the following turn, we're going to be cracking uh, Isle for 6. No, excuse me, 9, because we are delirious. So we're going to be cracking for 9, gain 6 back. And I don't think there's any world where Kyle gets back from that position. What did Nate draw? Didn't like Lightning Bolt on the previous turn. Okay, remember that. Suit up the Tarmogoyf, yep. And we're gonna crack for 9. That's gonna take 9, go to 10. Nate's gonna go to 14. And the follow up, a second run in 6. Oh, second run in 6. And let's just add let's add the Saga back. Let's play Saga. That'll put Tarmogoyf down to a 4/5 though. Not that I think it doesn't really matter too much. Um, it is still technically with the Shadow Spirit a lethal attack. If he attacks and then just minuses with the red and 6 if Kyle doesn't block, so it really doesn't change too much. Okay, good play here. Good play. Let's exile the lightning bolt. We'll make the Tarmogoyf a little bit smaller. It'll actually be down to a 3/4. I was trying to think of a way out here. We know one card in his hand is still Athalia's Lieutenant. don't think really there's any way out of this. Not trying to be so, down about the whole situation, but I do think we're going to clean this up pretty quickly here. Nate's just going for value. Let's bring it back out a little bit. I'll go to 13. Really just ensuring that there's no shenanigans here. Let's put the Ren to 5. That way your two creatures can't just double attack, kill Ren. If you do somehow find an answer to the Tarmogoyf. The Tarmogoyf really showing his stuff here. He's showing why he's such a powerful card. Still, to this day. Yep, the Darcy is not delirious. But it's still going to take 4, go to 6. And Nate will go to 17. Yep. There's still not a good attack. Adding Lures to hand would be a pretty solid play right now. Yep. Allows him to rebuy Pirate Spellbomb on the following turn and crack it on the Sanctifier. Or just attack with the Tarmogoyf first. If your opponent doesn't block, then you just crack them with the Pirate Spellbomb for lethal. Looks like he's going to concede the game. Yeah. Well, well played by Kyle. I do think the deck was not completely optimized. I do think, like I was saying previously, Ragavan's pretty bad in that deck, but that's just my humble opinion. There are these people that just going to be experimenting because the card is incredibly powerful. Might as well experiment with it, but I do think this was Humans is not the deck for Ragavan. Just plain and simple. So that was the end of round 3 feature match. Pretty quick. I'm assuming we got quite a bit of time left on the clock. So we will be going on a short break and hopefully be back soon for round 4. If you're watching and you like our content, please again follow, subscribe, support the stream in any way you can. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Really helps the channel out and trying to grow the community a little bit more. So like I said, we'll be back for a very short break and back for round 4 momentarily. Thank you so much for continuing to watch. All right. Can you hear me, Danny? Good. Okay. And I guess we're live again. Noah is playing some blue red fur. Just I don't know what white is. And Maggie's playing a pile near and dear to my heart, some rug mid range. I used to be known as the rug guy of West Michigan, rug moon guy. So it's always fun to watch other people play the archetype. I think it's not necessarily the best, but it is a lot of fun to play these rug decks. I'd be curious to know if Maggie is playing some copies of Ice-Fang Quaddle. Because if she is, she really should be going for a basic. But she went for a non-basic. So it leads me to think no. A Thought Scour, that probably means we got some Hooties in this deck. Some Hootie Mandrills. Maybe some Snapcasters. Just a big, good pile of Magic cards. All right. Beautiful stomping ground. All right. Oh, it's a Dragon Rage Channeler. Well, back in my day, when we played a rug mid-range pile, we were playing some really spicy cards. Now it's just rug, Saga, Van. I'm assuming there's some monkeys in this list at least. I'd be playing some Night Pack Ambushers. Danny, you're absolutely right. Pulse Marasas would be in my deck. Oh my goodness. I don't think Noah could ever beat a Pulse Marasa. I think he'd pick up the cards. To be fair, I think I would too. 7. Okay. All right. All right. Maggie's in fine shape. Basic land and just look at your opponent and say, go. Oh, I think she's delirious though. No, she's not. Not yet. Saga. Bang. Chapter 1. Go. Where's the Pulse Marasa? Come on, Maggie. Pull it through. Another DRC. Okay. Hmm. Not sure when Maggie's doing this. I'm hoping it's in second main. That way the Drag Bridge Channeler doesn't have to attack. If she was able to make it delirious. No, it was second main. Okay. Danny, thank you for correcting that. Appreciate that. So that wasn't second main. Maggie's a pretty heads up player. I'm sure she was keen to that line of thinking. And like a Darcy of our own on Noah's side. Okay. We're tagging for just 2. But Maggie's at a point where if Noah has a burn spell in hand and she doesn't block, she could just be dead. But I think you have to play to win. And I think that that particular line of thinking is not a play to win. I think we're literally just should pass. Hmm. 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 Well, it's a Boros trim. So she did block once, she's gonna go to 1. All right. What can she do? She's so low on life. There's a Snapcaster Mage I can see here. I think that might be another Electrolyze. 2. But Noah's got 3 cards in hand. I mean, this is just. I don't think there's any way out of this. No, actually, a Pulse Marasa would put Maggie to 7, and then she could Pirate Spellbomb one of these Swift Spears. So that would allow her to live another turn. But I don't think she's playing the Pulse Marasa. Not playing the best instant speed green card in the format. Okay, and we are delirious now. Oh, goof. All right. And Borzov. Okay. Pick up the cards. We're good. So Noah's quickly up a game against Maggie's Teamer Saga Man. So going into the side, let's talk about things that we think that Maggie could be bringing in. So it does give you a lot of access to life gain cards, possibly a scavenging ooze. Don't think it's very good right now. Endurance is probably in the side. But we gotta think of like ways to mitigate life loss. And I'm trying to think of anything off the cuff, and there is a chance that she could be playing a card near and dear to my heart, Huntmaster of the Fells, or as it is in German, Jägermeister von Kronberg. If she was playing that, that could be a way to mitigate life and mitigate the cards that are in play while also accruing value on Maggie's side. What else could there be? Really not that many cards that you'd want green for in this shell. The Pulse Morass, obviously, comes to mind. That would be in the main board. That's not a sideboard card. Nature's Claim, perhaps. Nature's Claim your own cards, gain a little life. That'd be an interesting line. What else could there be? There's not really that many cards that mitigate the damage intake. Well, I don't know what cards could cushion life total. This is typically a really bad matchup for like rug mid-range decks. I used to play quite a bigger rug, like I was saying previously, a lot of rug mid-range, rug tempo. If you look me up online, you can still see a bunch of embarrassing lists that top aided a lot of qualifiers, a lot of 1Ks, 3Ks, 5Ks, whatever the case may be. A lot of them. A lot of dumpster piles. A lot of fun though. Like I said, a lot of fun. I myself would, if I was to be playing like a casual FNM, yeah, I could whip out some spicy cards, some Ice Fang Codal, some Pulse Marassas, some Blood Moons perhaps. I love a good Blood Moon, a little Rug Moon action. And oh yep, and there's the Ragavan. And you know what? I think I might even play some Night Pack Ambushers. Big fan of the Night Pack. And I know Danny's a huge fan of my Night Pack decks as well. Those are definitely Danny and I used to be our pet deck. And Nightpack Ambusher, for those who don't know, is a 4/4 for 2 green and 2. And it is a Lord for werewolves and werewolves. And if no spells were cast during your turn, during the end step, you make a 2/2 wolf, which will be a 3/3 because of the Lord. So it allows you to really just play on your opponent's turn. Really saucy card. But it looks like Maggie's on pretty standard Ragavan pile, for better or for worse. And I'm not sure why the Ragavan went to hand. It was cast on turn 1, so it wasn't dashed into play. Okay, we got that corrected. Excellent. No, what can Noah do to kind of get back into this? Because he actually is pretty far behind, which is a little bit surprising. But that monkey does wonders. And I bet you, all joking aside, I bet you Pulse Rasa is on Noah's mind of what the green possibly could be for. Obviously, the Tarmogoyfs are one thing. Could be a red and 6. Could be in this deck, which that would not surprise me in the least bit. Ice Fang Coatl is another good option. You do see a snow-covered basic. So there are quite a few options that Maggie could play, which really, really fun. Like I said, rug being a rug deck, you do get a lot of really fun options by showing the snow-covered lands because it immediately makes your opponent think, oh my gosh, they could have the Ice Fang Coatl. Where like if you're just playing like a red black, there's no benefit to the snow lands. So a quick lava spike pass from Noah and boost the Tarmogoyf to a 4/5. I think we're missing instant possibly. But I thought there was an instant played already, a lightning bolt perhaps? Yeah. So it is a 5/6. Okay. 1/4 Shadow Spear. Ooh, nasty. Put that on the monkey. Oh no. Okay. Thought better of it. You put it on the monkey, because Noah's tapped out, you could attack and get damage through the monkey, even if it was blocked. I like that play a little bit more. Maggie's like, no, we're gonna maximize our life gain with the Shadow Spear. Also a really good option. I think Noah's about to pick up his cards really quick. Shadow Spear is a heck of a Magic card. Big fan, obviously. Play a lot of art. But I think the door is pretty much closed on Noah at this point. He could have a deflecting palm, perhaps, but that 6 life swing was big enough to the point where I don't think there's any reasonable way out. Unless Noah possibly plays a. Okay, Manamorphose, double blue. Maybe he's got the Merc Daddy. Don't think it'd be big enough, though. It's a bauble. See what we're cooking with. That is a Murktide. Okay. So it is a 5/5. With Bulldog to spec. Okay, so the Tarmogoyf actually is going to be lower now. It should be a 3/4, perhaps 5 after the Shadow Spear. So this Murktide region actually is a could chump block and kill the Tarmogoyf. I go into 18 here. And got quite a few options on the board just based on the state of the board itself. I do like attacking with the Tarmogoyf. I do like forcing the issue. I disagree with this passing of the turn. Your opponent's tapped out. You're offering a trade with the Murktide region. Um, However, you can start making constructs. And the life gain is huge. Gone to a oh, excuse me. No, it was only excuse me. It was only a 4/5 with the spear. That would have been a dumb attack. Forgive me. New baby, sleepless nights already. So my math is not 100% yet. Bang, Noah's going for 5. Gotta close the life total out a little bit. This kind of attack leads me to think there's possibly a deflecting palm in play. That is a smash to smithereens on the Shadow Spear. Excellent. Put Maggie to 10. Construct. Construct is a 1/1. Oh, thank you, Danny. Appreciate the love. Yep. Beautiful baby boy. And let's see, what could Maggie? I think surprisingly Noah's crushing it now. It's a huge advantage. Perhaps an Ether Spellbomb would be a good card to put into play. I'm a big fan of the Ether Spellbomb. I'm a little bit saddens me a little bit that it's not getting as much love as it should. Okay, so this attack here is technically lethal. Maggie attacks with both creatures. And that's not including the cards in her hand. Yep, she's gonna Black Tarmogoyf. Take 2, go to 7. Another Saga, okay. So there's a strong possibility that Maggie is just dead, but she could have Counterspell, which obviously would lengthen the game a little bit more. Yep, I agree with Noah. I think that we are not here to, yep, we're not here to play to survive, we're here to play to win. Definitely a back and forth game there. Very good. Very awesome game of Magic there. Really looked like right from the get go, Maggie was in complete control. Then Noah kind of swung it back into a race actually, and then Maggie ended up closing it out. So very cool, very cool. Those Saga Man decks, they really, they can put a lot of pressure on you really quickly. And obviously the blue is just for like stuff like Counterspell and whatnot, but still not the biggest fan of the blue in this deck opposed to something like black for like a Thoughtseize or something. Double blue card, double blue's a little hard to achieve. Um, However, it would be really cool if Maggie slammed an Ice Fang total. Always go back to that card because that card's just it's so good, so good. It's one of my favorites. And it's a clean answer to a Murktide region. And I do love me a sweet 1-for-1. All right, let's see what Maggie can bring to the table this game. I do think this list that Noah's playing is actually pretty interesting. I think it's actually, I think it's not bad either. I think it's pretty sweet. Combination of burn and prowess to capitalize on like your Darcy's, your Murktide regions. Really interesting way to go about it, and awesome. Looking at the top card, don't like it. Find out. Doesn't like it, I can definitely see a fetch coming down. Oh, he's interested. He's interested. Ooh, Rift Bolt on spin. Okay, bang. 17. All right. Now, what does Noah? What could he be thinking about? Hobbling. Just a little sneak peek. Let's see what else he could be getting. Okay, so assembling the blue mana. Obviously, this is for the Murktide region for later on in the game. And I think what we're going to be looking at for this turn, possibly, he could go with like a Manamorphose and to slam a really quick. Oh, yep, here we go. Manamorphose, yep. Probably double blue. Or maybe a red blue. Nope, double blue. Get the Murktide, yep. How big is that though? Okay, a 5/5, really respectable turn too. Okay, so I'm not sure it would be that shocking the end of turn, or maybe there was just a shortcut. Let's just go to the next turn. There's a fetch shock. I'm a little curious of what Maggie would possibly be doing. I don't think the cost of 2 life is worth casting something like a Thought Scour on yourself. I understand you want to advance your game plan in some way, shape, or form, but I don't think that the cost of 2 life in the face of a turn 2 5/5 Murktide Regent is worth it. There's a reason that when we were casting turn 2 Thought Knot Seers and turn 2 Reality Smashers, or no, it wasn't turn 2 Reality Smashers. Either way, making turn 2 4/4s. Reason that those decks were so good is because they just could put all that pressure on you, and you couldn't get back from it. So you had to really conserve your life total. I'm not sure if Maggie does have a card. Maybe she has an Unholy Heat. Oh, Double Fury. Okay, so she just 4-for-1 herself. And last card in hand is a Dragon Rage Channeler, and Noah's like Prismatic Ending, and does he have a threat? A Lava Spike. It's not bad. Put it to 11. What do we have to follow? Nothing. Okay, that's fine. And she's draw go. 1 land. Oh, I think that's going to close the door really quickly. Dragon Rage Channeler's pretty nasty. An Unholy Heat. She does have Delirium, I believe. She might not have Delirium, but Noah could just crack a land. Yeah, crack a land and go get make it Delirious. I believe he's got a Murktide. No, excuse me. He's only had 3 card types. He's got 2 sorceries in the yard. Could just land throw down an instant, make it a 4/4. I don't believe. I was saying I thought she was Delirious, but I don't believe that's the case. Bolt put Maggie to 8. Dragon Rage Channeler was pitch something. I can't see what that something is. Yeah, and the Dragon Rage Channeler stays. Yeah, she's not Delirious. I didn't think she was. Okay, Bolt. Okay, so we're putting a lot. Maggie is putting a lot of work into stay in this game. Okay, Noah's gonna get a little information. Draw a card in the upkeep. Excellent. I see counter spells. I see a bunch of stuff in Maggie's hand. Nothing that's just gonna push this game forward though for her. Dragon Rage Channeler's a good start. But again, I don't think Maggie is not Delirious. That is still a 1/1. And if Noah has any reasonable, there's a lot of cards that Noah can just draw, and it's just a reasonable card. Noah doesn't need a lot of any slam dunks. He just needs something he can just cast and put onto the board. Land is not one of them. That's unfortunate. Okay, that's important that it's not a blue source. It's just a saga. Sure, it allows. Oh my gosh, it's a Tarmogoyf and a Fury. None of those cards do anything. So Noah's getting a lot of time out of this because Maggie kept a pretty greedy 1-lander. It's a Force of Negation, a Counterspell, a Fury, and a Tarmogoyf. So we cannot evoke Fury. And okay, Noah, draw a card, draw a card. Draw Merc Daddy. Merc Daddy would be very good. No. Ooh, a Dragon Rage Channel of his own, and he's Delirious. That's actually really powerful. Okay, draw. Bang. That is a red card. Fury. No, it's a Lightning Bolt. Okay. Oh, that Boros Charm. Make it indestructible. That's huge. That's huge. Well played by Noah. Oh, no. Excuse me. No, okay. He thought better of it. He just decided to deal 4, which I don't know if I agree with that line. Now, this Dragon Rage Channel is Delirious. Where if we could have made it indestructible after the Surveil trigger went off, and then we could have just blocked. You got a free block, just kill the Dragon Rage Channeler, and Maggie be at 5 right now. That might have cost Noah the match right there. And that is a Shadow Spear. He's gonna smash that. Okay. Put Maggie to 1. And that's game. Noah did win. Okay. That was a very loose loose game 3 from both sides, I think. But I can hear them all laughing. They were having a lot of fun. It was a fun match to watch. Definitely a nail biter, actually. That 4-for-1 uh, that Maggie did to herself to get rid of Noah's board was actually pretty sweet. And Noah did put a lot of pressure on really early on. So, but definitely close, definitely very, very close. But that's going to be it for the night, actually. Thank you everyone so much for joining us. Again, it's a lot of fun doing this for you guys. We do it every Monday, stream some just fun modern games. And we are going to be trying to get back to every Sunday. I myself might not be able to, but we're going to be trying to get everyone playing some Legacy on Sundays. My personal favorite format right now. Um, Starting to get a little bit of a following here in West Michigan when it comes to trying to get our store going for Legacy events, which is really cool. But if you are watching on Twitch and you like the content, please like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you are watching this later on YouTube as a video on demand, please like, share, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Really, helps does us some good supporting our content. And like I said, we do put out a lot of really cool content. Steven does a lot of work every week. Put a lot of content out there. Like I said, last 2 weeks he's been streaming a lot of standard. Um, Testing for the Star City Games Invitational, and it did him a lot of good. Ended up, I believe, 12th place, 11th place, something around there. Top 16, long story short, at the Invitational, which is really sweet, really awesome. So obviously, testing did a lot of good. He's a really good player, and he bringing a lot of really good content to you guys to make sure that you guys are entertained and maybe help you possibly become a better Magic player yourselves. Um, but anyways, everyone, thank you so much for watching. A lot of fun. This is Andrew Walters from Switch Gaming, and we're out for the night. Thank you.